Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk a bunch of animated shows and movies here with new podcasts every other Wednesday. Find everything about us at overlyanimated.com. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today for this first part of the podcast, I'm joined by Ali Martin.
Hello.
And Alex Bonilla.
Hello.
And we'll be joined by April Collins later to talk about Raya and the Last Dragon, which is our main topic this week. Will be the latest Disney princess release that went out on Disney Plus recently. So we're talking Raya in our main topic. But before that, we have a What We've Been Watching segment. We're going to cover a bunch of recent releases in animation. So you can find the timestamps for when we're talking about certain shows and the timestamp for when we get to our main topic of Raya in the podcast description. If you're watching on YouTube, there should be a pinned comment. So find all the times there with maybe minor spoilers, I would say, for the What Watching shows. And then we'll do a spoiler-free segment for Raya before getting into spoilers for that. So find all those timestamps below in the podcast. And the only other thing before we get into that is I want to plug our YouTube because we started doing some live stream and video content there that we have not posted on the podcast feed yet. That is youtube.com/overlyanimated. Me, Delaney, Ali did a reaction to the Avatar Studios news. So you find all of our thoughts about that on our YouTube. I also posted that as a video, and we did a live stream of a Mean Girl bracket, and we're going to do potentially a himbo bracket. Yeah, so big, important topics going on the Overly Animated YouTube live stream, so find that. Subscribe there to not miss any of those. Okay.
You don't want to miss it.
You don't want to miss it. It's very important. Yeah, we're doing brackets for March, but we have busy time now for animation releases. Finally, we got a lot of stuff coming out. So we're going to go through a bunch of shows and movies, question mark, at least one movie here. But with me, Alex, and Ali, let's start with Amphibia is back. Probably the biggest release that is. Biggest show, I guess, that we've had. It's back for its 12th episode, the second half of season 2. It's going to be airing weekly on Disney. Alex, what is the headline from the Amphibia, I guess, like mid-season premiere?
I think just that it's back, that we're finally getting into season 2. I mean, I'll admit, Night Drivers and Return to Wormwood are fun enough episodes. I mean, it's nice always to get some Sprig and Polly action in there. But honestly, like, I'm just really hyped for After the Rain this week. So, like, I really want that to come. But so it more than anything, like, I think the headline is just it's like easing us back into this new second half, or going back to where we were for most of season 1, and getting the supporting cast back in line, like seeing all the Wormwood folks again. So. Yeah, I'm just happy for Amphibia to be back, and I am really excited for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Ali, any thoughts on that first episode?
Well, I mean, like Alex said, I appreciate that they're like easing us back in before they like throw trauma right at us, because I mean, Matt's tweets, it seemed kind of cryptic when he's like, I can't believe this episode is in 1 week. Like, what does that mean, man? I'm really excited.
It's important. It means
it does.
It's gonna be very
and it
awesome.
Could possibly also be traumatic. We could get like a double whammy. I really like the episodes. I appreciate that. I mean, not that like a lot of shows don't do this, but I like the like wacky joke, like the chicken. What was it called? The creature in Return to Wormwood, the demon chicken monster.
Yeah, it had some crazy name. The demonic rituals were a nice touch.
They were. And I love seeing all the characters too. Like Hop Pop's girlfriend's back. We get to see Ivy again, and Wally is the best.
Nice. Yeah, my only main thought, I think the show finally wore me down on Sprig Ivy. I think this episode, it got me on board finally.
Finally, because Anne is freaking out, isn't it?
I don't know. It was I think, the cutest here. The stones or whatever, the mat. Yeah, it was really cute.
Oh, yeah, the shells.
The shells,
It's really because cute. Anne reminded us of the ship name.
Yeah, Spray, yeah. But
Ivy.
Yeah, I'll always be a hardcore Spran shipper, though. Don't worry about it.
Oh, boy.
But, yeah.
Waiting
for that robot to do something soon, too. I think that's...
that too.
But yeah, very exciting Amphibia episodes coming up.
What if that's what the rain is referring to? Like, it's going to make him rust? We'll get to it.
Yeah, get the robot out of the rain. That's a good point. Okay.
I didn't think about that until now. I forgot about the robot.
He's there at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that robot walked through all that fog they drove through. It's rusty enough already.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's a fog made of moisture. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
Science.
Fun premiere back to Amphibia, and we're looking forward to the next few weeks. We have a hype episode in a few days as of when we're recording this, and so we'll be back probably in the next segment we'll do in a month for this. So a bunch of Amphibia will have aired by then. So looking forward to all of that. Next show we want to get to is Kid Cosmic, which is a new show on Netflix that came out at the beginning of February. And this is a very interesting new show by Craig McCracken, creator of Powerpuff Girls. So big name. And this is the big thing you'll hear about. This is his first serialized show. So he gets does an in-house show. Netflix first serialized show, and I do think it gets very serialized in kind of the second half of the season. Kid Cosmic. I really it's like 10 episodes, pretty short on Netflix. I really like Kid Cosmic. I'm very high on it. It's like really interesting visually, kind of like a little bit of a low frame rate, which I'm not used to, and like kind of comic style going on,
like Spider-Verse.
A little bit.
I haven't seen it. It's on my list now.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, not like the same style, but I think closer to that than.
But when you say frame rate,
yeah, I think the frame rate. Yeah, the music I think is really incredible. I just think it's really fun. Yeah, it's about like a kid. The main character's name's Kid, and he gets finds these rings of power and just a superhero riffing and stuff. And there's some really fun episodes. Alex, I think you've checked it out.
Would you believe it? This is the first Craig McCracken show I've checked out. So I don't have any Powerpuff Girls or Wander Over Yonder experience. I know that's
Foster's Home for imaginary friends.
That
most
neither,
importantly.
So. I thought this show was all right. I think that the soundtrack, the music is a special strong suit of this show. Like the old fashioned punk theme for Kid is always a delight when it comes up. The character of Jo, I think, is very winning. I like her development throughout the show.
The cat.
Cat is nice. I will say, like it's. Well, okay. So, is it a spoiler to say what happens to the cat?
It's kind of a spoiler, but there's fun stuff happens with the cat. Just stay tuned for the cat.
Fun stuff happens with the cat, and I think the cat is a nice part of that second half of the season. I will say that the story did kind of lose me in the middle a little bit. Like it does fall into some superhero shows are a thing where like it's kind of hard to find a unique angle on these days due to how many shows there are that use it. So there's some stuff that's a little predictable. But I think for the most part, it maneuvers well enough to earn its final episode, as well as it does end on a kind of a cliffhanger. So, and I think that it's good enough of a hook for a season 2. So I enjoyed the experience, and I think that there are some specific part, like the aesthetic of it, the feel of it, like the music combined with the look of the show, like very old fashioned comic feel. I think all that is its strength.
Yeah. I think the show is trying to play with comic tropes. So I think it's purposefully kind of doing things we're used to and then riffing on them a little bit. So you might think that's a little stale, or you might think it's interesting how their take on it. I think the visual style is really good, and it goes in really interesting directions. The second half, I want to highlight episode 4 with the documentary style. I think was like really incredible. Different alien invasions, and then the Earth Force Enforcement Force, which you will know I'm talking about when you get there, is one of my favorite things. Absolutely love the Earth Force Enforcement Force. Yeah, no, I personally, I'm
such a mouthful.
I know it's great. Personally, I love the show. I think this is like a really strong, one of the strongest, I have to say this a lot, but one of the strongest premiere seasons I think for a show I've seen in a while. And yeah, we are getting a second season of Kid Cosmic, so looking forward to that. Okay, next new show also on Netflix. This is a little bit more recent. Is City of Ghosts. Not very different from Kid Cosmic, but I feel like similarly different. Both pretty unique shows from what we normally see. This is created by Elizabeth Ito, who worked on Adventure Time. Very difficult show to describe. City of Ghosts. I will say it's a very short watch. It's on Netflix. So I would say this show is like a love letter to diverse communities in Los Angeles. I think that is like my summary of what's going on here. Ostensibly, it's about a group of kids who are like have a ghost club, but I think it's like not really about that. This visually, the show is incredibly interesting. It's like 3D characters, on top of photorealistic backgrounds, sometimes actual live action backgrounds, and then like sometimes like rotoscope backgrounds, I think. But it's like real places in LA. Like some of the people are real people, I think. And it's just like highlighting different, diverse communities. It's very wholesome and, sweet and like a chill watch, I would say. Alex, what do you think?
I love this show. Like I think this is my favorite thing I've watched this year so far. Like it's just very very comforting to watch. It's educational in a way where that it doesn't feel like a lecture, but like at the same time, like it is kind of like interview style where like they're talking with actual people from the community, and they're things that you would like never really hear about in your normal day-to-day life. Like they get into like the Japanese American community, into the indigenous community. There was a segment where it was speaking with a Zapoteco speaker in Koreatown, which is like a real a real curveball of a combination of cultures, and just like really showing off like the melting pot that Los Angeles is, and like all things that go under the radar. And yeah, like the construction of the show where it's like these kids are like hunting are like tracking these ghosts, but like it's so soft and so like they're literally just like seeking them out, like trying to like be nice to everybody, and like the ghosts are nice and everybody's just like talking freely without like any conflict in the world, really. So like it's just it's such a it's a pretty show to watch. It's a comforting show to watch. I think it's honestly an important show to watch if you want to really expand your cultural knowledge. So I think it's just a very fun and interesting combination. Like no action really to speak of, but like just the general, like for like slow TV, like this is like the peak of that. So I really enjoyed it.
Peak
I put
slow
both
TV.
of these on my list now, so that's interesting to hear.
Yeah, I agree. It's very important, and I learned a lot watching it. I think it's more. I think this is more of a documentary, closer to that than a traditional narrative. It's like not
I'd
real,
agree.
but like I think like so if you're going in expecting like a traditional, like normally I would watch like more of traditional narratives than documentaries. So it's different than a lot different than what I normally see. But yeah, you just have to think of it more as that type of show. And it is like a fake documentary style, and like the documentary they're making is fake, and the kids are fake, but everything else around them's real, I guess is like what's going on basically. But yeah, it's like really interesting, a lot of interesting information about different people in Los Angeles. One of the kids, Thomas, says in the second episode, they go by they, them pronouns, and voiced by Trans Boy. So
Nice.
love that character. And, yeah, I mean, well, I don't know I actually don't know if we're getting more episodes of City of Ghosts or not, but, it's
I really hope so.
yeah, it'd be really nice. So yeah, I think definitely recommend checking out this show for like its importance and just to see what's up with this, because this is not like anything you've seen, I think.
Also, I would quickly recommend if you have not checked out Elizabeth Ito's "Welcome to My Life" short, which was released by Cartoon Network a couple of years ago. It's actually a similar style, and you can see the connecting tissue between that and the show. And I would, in case you haven't checked that out, I would also recommend that as well. And just I'm really excited for Ito to finally get her chance, since I've seen her name since following Adventure Time for the first time. So it's great that that we when somebody gets that opportunity to make something as unique as this.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Cool. So that's City of Ghosts. Let's check in on Craig of the Creek now. It's been a little bit on the podcast since we've talked about Craig. So since the last time we talked about it, the rise and fall of the Green Poncho to Craig World is the kind of episode segment that we would be covering here, which is a lot of episodes. But I think basically this is the majority of wintertime in Craig. And Alex, I think, is caught up, and Allie's not caught up, so we'll try not to spoil Allie. But
It's okay.
Yeah, it's Craig's been airing in very weird sporadic segments. So I think like winter came with Craig, and we're like, oh, that's cute that we're gonna get like a few episodes in winter, but it's like half the season that was take place in winter, and I was really not expecting that. Alex, what did you think of our time? And I guess spoiler, winter is over as of like 2 episodes that just happened. Not really a spoiler, but yeah, we finally made it to spring. But what did you think of our time in winter, Alex?
I think it was fine. I think that they use like stuff like snowball fights and the episode where they built like different snow houses got increasingly insane as it went on. So I enjoyed using snow for that purpose. Obviously, breaking the ice, I think, is a notable episode in this bunch.
Yeah, let's go through some of the. Yeah, so you've mentioned 2 I had to highlight already. So, Welcome to Creek Street, I think, is the snow fort. I think that's like to me is an incredible episode. It's like one of the all time Craig great episodes. That was like just super imaginative. I feel like it was like a cardboard-esque type building that they had going on. And Bobby, we had Bobby in that one. But here's one of my big takes. Craig crew, I can tell you want to make Bobby an official member of the Stump Kids. What? Just do it. Just do it. Like, Bobby is popping up every other episode now. We have to come up with some reason for him to be part of the action. Just make him an official Stump Kid member. Just do it. But yeah, Bobby was great in this episode. Yeah, breaking the ice. So, okay, this is kind of a spoiler, but I think you've seen it by now if you're following Craig at all, which is that we're getting the new Craig of the Creek ship, Craig and Wildernessa. We figure out Wildernessa has a crush on Craig in this episode. Drama ensues because we knew that Kelsey had a crush on Wildernessa. So is this a Craig of the Creek love triangle that's going to happen? We haven't really seen it happen yet, manifest yet.
Look, this just makes it easier for Kelsey and Stax to happen.
Yeah, Kelsey. That because we also that texting episode we had the Kelsey Stax Wildernessa love triangle, and now we have a separate Wildernessa involved love triangle. And
everybody loves Wildernessa.
It's apparently it's definitely.
And it was a good episode for Wilderness. I feel like we had been missing that side, like her like norm outside of the Creek life knowledge to like figure out like how her character is working. So I'm glad that we finally got some of that. So it helps a little bit understand better the chemistry going on there.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what we do with this new crush. Let's bring Kelsey into the mix. I want to see the drama. Come on, let's do it.
It's fine because it's not an entirely hetero love triangle.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. Other notable episodes: Winter Break, 30-minute special. I think was really good.
Ooh.
That was our.
Man, I gotta get caught up. This is insane.
Yeah, there's a big snowball fight, right? I think that episode. That was fun. Yeah, I mentioned Rise and Fall of the Green Poncho. That was a big plot episode. That was then followed up at the end of Fan or Foe, which was a ridiculous, fun episode about like con culture.
Rise and Fall of the Green Poncho. Introduction of Michelle, the original Green Poncho. Really loved her. I hope we get at least one more episode with her, since that was a flashback. I feel like that's doubtful, but I really liked her.
Nice.
Maybe she's in college now. What if she's probably Bernard's age now.
Do we have any college kids on?
Like getting ready for college kid age.
Yeah.
I want to ask, how many weeb references were there in this group of episodes?
Oh, well, let's get to the convention episode.
Well, so yeah, Fan or Foe is the big one. Yeah, so watch that one. Yeah, and we learn that we see a fake anime in this episode that has big plot ramifications. Actually, it was really interesting. So I like the con episode. The Sunflower is the one where we see that it's spring now, and that's a very notable episode, I think, because of the ending. Very like melancholic, dealing with grief, type song in there. I think that was a pretty powerful episode. And then this last group that we just got, the last 4, I think were really good. Because also Craig World, I think, was really fun too. They make a fake theme park, Journey to the Center of the Creek. My big take with Craig World is, how were the cardboard kids not involved with what was going on here? This was an entirely cardboard, theme park. And you're just going to ignore the cardboard kids who are experts in this. I am deeply offended as number one cardboard kid stan, number one Carter stan. We better get a third cardboard episode. This does not count because you did not put Carter and,
Is this a plot hole?
I think this is a plot hole. I'm going to post on Reddit about this. Like, I'm not happy. No, but it was a really good episode. Alex, anything else from Craig?
Just the slide was inflatable plastic, and that was the center, so I don't think it counts.
I guess not everything was. Yeah, they start with the non-cardboard base, and then they build out everything in card. Yeah, okay. I don't know.
Craig is just great, and everybody should watch Craig.
Oh yeah. Craig continues to be really strong. I had fun with winter, but I am eager to go back to. I don't know. Are we going to spend a lot of time in spring now? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, just like real life, winter needs to end.
Yeah, but they timed it pretty well, I guess. We're ending winter now, and they just ended winter in Craig. Good
job, Cartoon Network team.
Unless they were holding on to like a season, I don't think they were. I think it worked out, I guess. But they air Craig weirdly sometimes.
Have we talked about the Jessica spinoff since that got announced?
No, we haven't mentioned that. Yeah, there's a Jessica pre-K spinoff coming. So
yes,
that's exciting. Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome.
I think it feels natural considering Jessica has felt like a breakout character in like the past year of Craig. So I think that was nice to see. Okay, let's move on from Craig, though. Could always talk more about Craig and all good episodes in there. Just wanted to mention any particular ones. Let's talk Earwig and the Witch, which we have not yet talked about on the podcast. Still possible we do a full Earwig and the Witch podcast at some point, but we can give brief thoughts on it since I know people are probably highly anticipating our Earwig thoughts in some form. But this is the first Studio Ghibli release in many years. This is the third film by Goro Miyazaki, and it's on HBO Max. I would say you've maybe seen it not getting good reviews, or you've just not heard about it. But I'm here to say, ignore that. Earwig and the Witch is amazing, at least according to me. I love this movie. Not surprising. We did a whole Ghibli in-depth series here, so this is a big deal for our podcast, a new Ghibli movie. Probably the thing you'll hear about Earwig is that it's Ghibli's first foray into 3D animation. A lot of people are upset about that. I think no matter how they animated it, people would have been upset about it. But I thought this was really great 3D animation. I thought it looks different than the type you normally see in American movies. And I thought the movie looked really great. The music's really great. One of the all-time great uses of one single song throughout the movie in Don't Disturb Me, I would say. Love Earwig / Erica / Aya as a character, and depending on what you're watching it in. And I think she's a really fun protagonist. Alex, what are your overall Earwig thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, when I watched it, I understood some of the criticism, and like at the end of the day, it's a TV movie. It's all working to set up like a series that just feels like a long pilot. But like at the same time, I do agree that like the hate that got spread on the internet over this was way overblown. Like there's stuff to enjoy about this movie. I really enjoyed the character animation of Mandrake. I feel like they do some interesting work with him to like get the horror aspects of this dark magic with using him. I think that the cat character. I mean, the cats in Ghibli have always been a high success rate, and I think that the cat here does pretty well. The theme song I really enjoy because I love progressive rock like 60s 70s, so like that being like the vibe for this movie, I enjoyed. I wish there was a little bit more variety, but the songs that they have, it works pretty well. And I think like while maybe the animation, like obviously it's for first time that they're doing CGI, so maybe the character animation isn't as fluid as you'd like, but the backgrounds are excellent. I think that specifically feels to me Ghibli, like the colorfulness of whenever they do exteriors or they show the house, like all the production, the design of everything still feels very very Ghibli. So I think that there's definitely stuff to like. Definitely closer to Poppy Hill than Earthsea in terms of quality among Goro Miyazaki movies.
Yeah, I think Poppy Hill won this 2 or C3, but so that already, it's middle of that recent Ghibli type of tier movie, which to me is like all great movies. So I would not sleep on Earwig of the Witch. I would check it out. Don't expect like a lot of plot and stuff. A lot of stuff unresolved, I think, at the end. But I can understand that of people upset. But to me, I watched it again second time. I think once you are not expecting answers to things, I think it works even better. But last take on Earwig, my favorite end credits of all time, Earwig and the Witch, best Ghibli end credits. The end credits of this movie are pure bliss to me. I'm so happy watching them. I've watched them multiple times. For some reason, this is the highlight of the movie. Maybe I'm playing into the narrative of the 3D being bad because these are 2D drawings in the end credits. But that's like part of what makes it great, is it's a great contrast to just seeing all the 3D. But there's just like 50 plus images telling a ton, like a huge like post movie story, and I think it's so fun, and it makes me so happy. So watch Earwig for the credits. How about that? Okay.
Okay. Credits.
Yeah, no, Ghibli has great credits though, so this is continuing a great tradition. Okay, so yeah, potentially more thoughts on Earwig at some point in the podcast, but we at least got that out there. Let's go from Studio Ghibli to RWBY. Let's check in on RWBY quickly.
Sounds so enthused.
Extremes. Allie, any high level RWBY takes? So episodes 8 to 11 are the latest ones we haven't talked about on the podcast yet.
It feels like, again, it's too much of happening, but also nothing happening. I think it's entertaining. I really like where they're going with most of the characters. I can't think of any like hot takes other than Penny is perfect and she's the best character, and bees need to kiss, and there was some other thing. Oh yeah, May's the other best character. Like, her monologue was the thing that stuck out the most out of this bunch, period, for me. But I'm probably just biased because queer stories are the best stories. I don't know. I'm still enjoying it, but these RWBY vibes go. I want more and also less at the same time.
Yeah.
I will say can we talk about spoilers? Silver-eyed people. I called it.
I guess that's spoilers. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you called it. That's good. Yeah.
That's it.
Vaguely know what you're talking about, and I watched the show. I want to highlight episodes 8 and 9. I think are the 8 I've written down was the most horror episode they've done since that Volume 6 one we talk about all the time. I think it was super successful. Episode 9 felt like the finale. They're facing off with Salem. It was like a really big episode. I think those are 2 of the best episodes of RWBY, actually. I think the 2 after that aren't quite as good, but I think my high level take is, despite not being super invested still, obviously, in what's going on in the show, I do think they've been successful this season. I think this is pretty clearly the second best season of RWBY, behind Volume 6. I don't really think they can screw it up either. I think we kind of passed the previous seasons at this point. So
I think that's fair.
Not too hot of a take, really. But
it is a hot take that this is the best season, because a lot of people are like, "Where is this going?" It's I don't know what's going on.
Second best season behind Volume 6, but yeah, I think they've done a much better job than last season with the Atlas stuff. I think it's been more.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So
the season before this was just about the outfits. That's what it felt like. Outfit change. Now
I wish the show was just about the outfits. I'd like it a lot more.
Me too. They just need a whole episode for that.
We have 3 episodes left, so yeah, we're on Bumblebee watch for sure, because episode 10 big reunion, Yang cups Blake's face, arguably the most explicitly romantic Bumblebee moment to date.
And
although there have been several.
Is just leading to an actual kiss, so manifesting.
Yeah, so they've 2 seasons of just constantly them being clearly in love with each other, and yet they have not kissed or said they're in love with each other or anything. So let's see if it happens in the last 3 episodes. We'll be back in a month to check to see what happens.
Also we got some Renora closure. I like how that was handled, honestly, especially Nora's bit, but it's too much spoilers. I just thought it was well done.
Yeah, at least they gave it time. I'm worried about what that means for Bumblebee, but that was nice.
But also it might not mean anything for Bumblebee, but it also could mean character death signs for one of them.
Yeah, we always think people are going to die, but I don't think they'll kill them.
Someone's going to die by the end of the season.
Someone is one of the villains we don't care about. Ironwood.
Oh yeah, wait, someone already died. I forgot.
Who died? I don't care. Okay. Just kidding. Good this season. Okay. That was kind of spoilers. Whatever.
Huge spoiler.
Maybe we'll bleep it out. So if you maybe you can. I'll bleep that out. Which character died? You can tell. You pick you see if you can guess what Alex said.
Twice now.
Wow, I can't believe RWBY died.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Alex, to wrap up here, any close enough season 2 thoughts?
Okay, so close enough season 2. I think it's solid follow up to season 1. I definitely think Candace has a pretty good season here. Sauceface is an excellent episode, and she also has good contributions in some other ones. I think they hit the social media / technology is bad. Enjoy life a little bit too hard. Feels like there's like 3 or 4 different episodes that have plots related to that. And Secret Horse is quite a crazy episode. And the fact that it was the last one of the season was very jarring to me, because it's like, I was like, okay, this is like the weird detour episode where like you just like really dump your format and like experiment. And then it's just like, end of season. Wait, what? That's it? So, Secret Horse was the episode that stood out to me just because of its placement and how different it was from the rest of the episodes. But I think that overall it's still pretty good. Also, Josh Gets Shredded, which is the opening episode, I think is a very strong opening to the season as well. Like it's great when an episode just like continues ramping it and ramping up the craziness to like a climax where it's like totally insane. So there are some standouts here.
Nice. And and it got renewed, right, for another season?
Yeah,
that was surprising to me.
it was very fast.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Very fast, even though close enough.
I mean, these episodes were made like 4 years ago, right? So this is
Never mind.
But that's a rare success story for a show that had a long layoff after the episodes aired until only streaming. I think new streaming service can make that happen. Okay, that's it for our what we've been watching. So a lot of good stuff there. Let us know what your thoughts on all of these shows that we talked about in the comments. But let's move on to our main topic of the podcast for Raya. Okay, on to our main topic, Raya and the Last Dragon, which just came out on Friday on Disney Plus, premium access. Hooray! So we have to
in theaters too.
Yeah, it is in theaters. Please do not go to movie theaters if you're in North America or other places. It is on Disney Plus for. With premium access, it will be available generally access on Disney Plus in June. So if you are waiting for that, bookmark this podcast, come back then. That's fine. But we will have a spoiler-free section in the beginning. So we're spoiler-free right now. I'll let you know when we get into spoilers for Raya. If you would like to kind of see what we have to say about it, decide whether you want to check it out. We're probably going to say check it out. So that's generally how these things go. But yeah, Raya, latest Disney princess release, big deal. Disney's first Southeast Asian princess, directed by Don Hall and Carlos Lopez Estrada. We're going to get into everything about Raya. So we're going to start with spoiler-free thoughts. But my Benturis, what up? We doing it. Let's talk. Let's talk Raya. We excited?
That was not a nice word.
Yeah, my Benturis. It's not nice. No, it's not.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I'm using it in a different way. You know.
What way?
I think it works that way.
Well, if you think of it as the B word, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my Benturis, like that, you know. That's how I'm trying to say.
Is that how we're using it? I'm gonna start.
Yeah, that's how you should use it. Yeah. Okay.
It's gonna catch on, but
yeah. So that is not a real word. We'll talk about other words that are in this movie. So okay, overall, no spoilers. Overall, did you like Raya? What are your thoughts on it, April?
I liked it. Overall, I'm always blown away by what Disney does in terms of animation, especially like in 3D. And so it's definitely a gorgeous, gorgeous movie. I had the pleasure of watching it in like ultra high definition. I don't even know what crazy nonsense words. And it was just like stunning, like scene after scene, even like what would have been considered like the desert scenes, blew me away, which is weird to say about dirt, but or sand. So whatever, it's fine.
Well, it's dust, so it did blow you away. No, I tried. This didn't work.
And the fans in my apartment nailed it. Okay. But I enjoyed it. The plot was a little predictable, but I didn't care that much. It was a good watch from start to finish, and I would recommend people check it out. Like, of course.
Nice. Okay.
Also, strong ladies. Love strong
Yes.
ladies.
Warrior princesses, man.
Yeah.
Please.
Warrior princesses. Yeah. Allie, what about you? What do you think of Raya?
I thought it was great. I feel like, I mean, I don't, when I say this, it's in a good way. I think it was rushed, but like in a way that like not that like it was done poorly. I feel like I felt like I wanted more. So in that way, I feel like Disney did its job really well. Like if it leaves you wanting more of a story, but I enjoyed it a lot. I was glad to see the representation. I really liked the characters. I feel like it should have been longer, but I enjoyed it a lot. I'm glad I got to see it and not have to be in a theater. Animation was incredible. Like April said, Disney always blows it out of the water. And also their animation with water was just, it always gets better. And it's
Big water movie here.
There's a lot of water, and it's so gorgeous.
Voice acting was great. Story, I agree, was predictable, but I'm also like, that's Disney movies in a nutshell, at least like animated for quote unquote kids. But I also didn't mind it because that's what I'm used to. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I was going to give it a rating, but I'm over that. It was great.
Sounded like you're going to give it a 10 out of 10.
I was like, I mean, it should be longer. I wanted more.
That's
so
a bold
9.5
take.
out of 10.
Okay, 9.5. Okay. That's
And I
good.
said I wasn't going to do it.
If you watch
And then
this,
you did it.
you did anyway. Yeah. Okay. Rank every aspect of Raya as we're going.
It
out
would
of
be
10.
less than that, but I enjoyed it so much. To be fair, I've only seen it once. I need to watch it again.
Yeah. Yeah. I went back and rewatched scenes. I haven't after this to.
Yeah, I should have done that too.
I mean,
you watch scenes.
I know, it's
short
not what you
enough that
should-
You just rewatch the whole thing. I literally rewatched it while I was working today.
I don't have the patience recently, but yeah, I should have done that. But no, I wanted to I was taking notes, so I needed to stop and start anyway.
While you watched the
for
first
this
time, you were
podcast.
taking notes?
No. I mean, I generally do that, but that's why I rewatched scenes to make sure I knew what was up with. But yeah, zero mentions of Namari in either of your initial thoughts.
Okay,
Interesting.
you know
Okay,
we were
I was
saving it for a reason.
those thoughts.
Okay, we're saving it. Fair. Okay.
Two bisexuals here. You know we're saving it.
Yeah.
We're saving the Namari thoughts. Yeah, I mean, if this was Katra, I think we would have already mentioned Katra. So the Katra card. Okay.
Well, ish. I mean,
basically.
We'll get there.
Okay, yeah, the movie, yeah. So if you watch it on Disney Plus, you're like, oh, hour 50. No, that's all credits. This is an hour 35 before the credits start. Just FYI.
Yeah. The credits were so long.
they were
Yeah, but you
long.
might bet they because on streaming services they have to do the other language credits at the end now, so you get tricked into thinking movies are longer. Keep that in mind, especially for Disney Plus.
See, I did not watch the credits.
Same thing happened with Soul. It's like, oh, Soul is like hour 45. No, it's tight 90. Soul was so.
It's so short.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
feel like
and
this
Soul are
one-
very short. I agree. This movie was too short, but I liked Raya. By the way, I apologize if I've said Raya instead of Raya. It's Raya. I don't even remember what I've said now. Raya. I really liked Raya. I have a lot of I guess complaints, but it is, I think, a good movie. I was looking forward to it, and I think there's a lot to like about Raya. I especially liked the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
I think if this movie was those parts expanded, I think it would be excellent. I'm not in love with the middle of this movie.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, basically my reaction was there's like a hard 20-minute exposition in the beginning. And if you're not into exposition, I've seen some people complain, but I thought it was excellent exposition. I thought it was great backstory. I really liked those parts of the movie. And then I think the movie gets very silly for a while. So, I was like really taken out of it by some of the sillier aspects of the movie. It's like, sure, it's a Disney movie. I understand. A lot of my complaints are like, I wish this wasn't a Disney movie, but, and it is. So it's
Very relatable.
But yeah, it's so basically I thought the middle is too silly, and you could argue some themes are pretty overt and stuff, but I thought there's some really impactful stuff in here. I thought Raya and Namari are good. We're going to talk a lot about them, so I would definitely recommend checking this out. I think you might see like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think it's that good. I don't think this is one of the best movies I've seen recently or anything. But
Because it's not a musical.
I was going to say, I had a friend afterwards say she really enjoyed the movie, but she doesn't see herself watching it again for a really long time.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that like I was like, the more that I thought about it, I was like, that kind of sums it up for me in a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good movie. I don't know when I'll watch it again, but
yeah, I do think there is depth to explore as I've just taken some notes on some things, but yeah, I agree. Like I feel like Raya is in between. Like it's either should have been a musical or it should have been a more adult movie.
2 hour long.
2 hour long epic dark fantasy movie. I wanted one of the two, and it's trying to be both, and I don't think it at times succeeds at that kind of middle ground that it's trying to do.
Yeah. I was surprised that it wasn't a musical, but like when we first heard of it, because isn't Aquafina a musician? She's a rapper.
She does do like some music, I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
I think she's mostly an actress though.
Okay, that's fair.
Big rising star, and I think she is great in this movie too.
Yeah.
So okay, let's get into spoilers now for Raya, as we might be holding back on some aspects, including some Raya and Namari stuff. So getting into spoilers now for Raya and the Last Dragon. So if you've not checked it out, make sure you watch the movie, come back and listen. Starting now. What's should we talk about Raya and Namari? How about thoughts on the ending? Anything spoilerly that's jumping out to you, April?
I think, and this may be like a little bit of a hot take, but I think whenever you said my complaints with this movie are like that it's a Disney movie, I think that like I think Namari's redemption was very rushed. I want to say undeserved, but I also don't want to say that because I understand that the whole theme of this movie is trust.
Did you know that the theme of this movie is trust? Could you tell?
What?
Yeah.
Jeez. Surprising they didn't have another word for it, but
yeah. Well, and it was really interesting.
Should it have been a fake language word for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We had fake language words for other things. Why couldn't we have had one for trust? And then they could have just been like, it means trust. And I would have been like, okay, cool, like got it. But in regards to that, I feel like it was rushed. It's really strange for a Disney movie to just super hardcore shove a theme in your face, like constantly throughout the movie. Because, I mean, like you guys said, did you know that the theme of this movie was trust? So, I felt like I was like eating it all night long, and at some point it went bad, and I don't know.
How does trust taste? Interesting.
Bitter.
Bitter. It can be. So
because it's hard to swallow, hard to.
Yeah. So I know they definitely do a lot of talking about trust. That's blatantly what the movie is about. I think they're interesting. I think they approach it in a few really interesting ways. I think that is like thematically, at least it resonated to me in a few ways deeply, which I think is potentially surprising considering you could argue the story is not super in depth. But I do think there are some resonant aspects of the themes that they were going for. Namari, I don't think Namari was redeemed. I think that's a hot take, I guess. I feel like the point isn't that Namari was redeemed, for me at least. I feel like it was, we all just have to trust each other. And now we trust Namari, and it's not that she like redeemed herself. It's just we trust her now. We didn't trust her before. That's the thing.
It felt like her redemption didn't need, I feel like it did need to happen, but the movie was trying to present it in a way that it didn't, because like Raya did something arguably as bad, if not worse, by like spoilers, shooting Sisu in the end. But I didn't like it. I agree with you guys.
Well, and I think the thing too is that when it comes to a theme of, or it comes to the theme of trust, like that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like it's a little bit bigger than like
two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, it's a little bit more deeper of a topic too.
Yeah.
Because trust is something very internal. You could say it's physical because you do have a physical response, like mechanism to it. But for them to just kind of be like, okay, everything's fine after like what Namari did, not just once, but twice, Granted.
And then it's like, I just have a vibe about this person. You can trust them. I have a feeling. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes the
like,
feeling is wrong.
And I was like, I feel like and maybe if it was like, oh, I accidentally ate the second piece of pie, or the last piece of pie, like then it could be like, oh, that Namari, like.
But no, she literally
just
like,
can't trust her with
back.
pie, but like.
Got a dragon soul.
This is interesting. This is my reaction to She-Ra, and I did not have the same reaction to this movie, so I think that's interesting that you guys have this reaction.
I didn't think about it until you brought up Catra, and I was like, it's exactly the same.
I mean, these two, this is obvious Catra parallels, I think.
But like even the redemption part, like when I first watched it, I was over the moon about it, and I like how it was done, but I think it was super rushed. Like it didn't feel real.
Let me give you one of the two parts of the trust part that I found to be deeply resonant, and then you guys can say because I feel like it maybe explains.
Maybe I'm glad we're talking through this because
this is a good first topic. This is one of the ones I had the most thoughts on. So the scene where Raya shoots Sisu accidentally. I think they're going for pretty clearly, I feel like what they're going for is not trusting each other. It's not about culpability. It's about the fact that they don't trust each other leads to this situation. I thought this was like a really incredible example of like you always hear like show not tell. Like I feel like, and it's overstated as a criticism, but I think this was like the ultimate show don't tell about this theme. Is like you see Namari like on the trigger. Is she about to shoot the crossbow? Raya thinks she is, so she lashes out
throws
and causes her to throw whatever with the sword. I think she's an extendo sword.
Yeah, which is amazing.
It's cool, yeah. And so she attacks because she thinks Namari's about to attack, but was Namari about to attack? It looked like she kind of was. And so it's like, I thought this was like a tremendous encapsulation of what this movie was trying to go for, of how not trusting each other leads to mutual destruction, basically. And yeah. I thought they executed this scene really well.
But that's the thing. It was that scene after all of those shoving it in your face. Like, they didn't need to do that leading up to it.
There's a lot of conversations, Raya and
if they had a song about trust and just left it there and then had that scene instead of just bringing it up over and over, it would have worked better.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do think all of the middle of the movie would be better served with some songs. And in certain points, I do think there's a lot of action scenes that are really successful.
I think there's some action scenes that are very successful.
Oh yeah,
but I feel like a lot of like the middle portion of the movie is just very goofy and kind of silly, and it's like we're gathering the band.
Yeah, let me get to that.
Show.
Let me get to that in a second. I have one bold take about who I hate in this movie. I'll come back to that.
Oh my
okay,
God.
I think you can probably guess. Second part of trust that I really liked is, and this is the general the general overview of the movie, the general setup. But I think they execute on it well. I think this is basically a post-apocalyptic setting with the Droon, who is like this plague, and I think a lot of people have made comparisons between the Droon and the coronavirus.
God, I did not.
So I think I've seen reviews with that, but I feel like what they're going for is environmental disaster. So this was written.
That's what I thought of.
That's what I was thinking too.
Because they even said outright it's about human discord, and like the virus wasn't really man-made, but global warming is.
Yes. So I felt like this movie was really interesting in how it presented this concept of as conditions worsen for humans, it becomes harder for us to trust each other, which leads to further worsening of conditions. And I think we're seeing that in our life. And a lot of people hypothesize that this is what might happen in the future, in our near future with global warming, as it's like maybe not literally that the planet becomes too warm or the sea levels rise, but as those conditions become more and more apparent and threatening, it will lead to like wars and that sort of thing. I think that's what this movie is about, that scenario. The Droon comes upon us. That leads to people not being able to trust each other. Things get worse and worse. I found this to be very kind of meaningful and resonant to our current lives, our future, and I thought the movie was very successful in presenting kind of that concept.
It makes way more sense when you think about it that way too, because of the whole the theme of water too. Like when Sisu dies, the water goes away, and the Droon are attracted to places without water, or like they can't thrive in water.
Yeah. I was
So
gonna
it makes
say,
sense.
I that makes a lot more sense, and I very much appreciate you explaining it to me in that way.
I can't
because
believe people tried to really akin it to the coronavirus. That seems so silly to me.
I think
I
any
feel
movie
like
that comes
that's
out with the
any
plague
movie.
now has to, you're gonna
That,
have
I
to
mean,
think of
but
it.
come on, though, really.
I feel like I saw like a review. I don't even know what movie, so whatever, don't quote me. But I feel like I saw a review for a movie that was like in no way, shape, or form like had anything to do with plagues or anything like that. And they're like, this movie is really like a telltale of like what everyone is going through with the coronavirus. And I was like, no, it's really
Soul?
not.
Maybe it was
No,
Soul.
I don't think it was Soul.
Yeah.
I think it was something
I mean,
else.
I think, it's what we're all going through, so I think it's top of everyone's minds. I do think there are parallels to kind of COVID situation in that, conditions worsen and in turn people are cooler and cooler to each other now. We have less trust in our leaders and
very,
stuff.
Like commonplace that like people are so, I guess, almost like disheveled and sort of stranded in a sense too. Like everyone has been affected, so I can see in that regards like no one was safe from the drone. Like someone lost a family member or something along those lines.
Yeah. I think we hear a lot about that. Yeah. Okay. So
That's a good point.
yeah, and I really like those aspects of the movie, and I think they obviously put a lot of work in to kind of have these sort of things resonate. It's probably one of the main things, probably the main thing thematically it's going for. But there's a lot of setup in the middle of the movie. Do you want to talk about some of the silliness in the middle of the movie?
No.
Let me give my big take. So I hate the con baby. I hate her.
Thank you.
I hate her. No,
you.
don't. We need a con baby stat on here to counter this perspective.
No, because it was the worst part of the movie. Every part they were on, like anytime they were focused, I was like, "Can we move on, please? There are so many more interesting things you could be doing."
If you can just take the con baby and change her into like a girl Raya's age, this movie is like 5 times better.
Or even just like a younger girl, even like without the monkeys. Like, why?
Or
like,
maybe
like
a kid, yeah.
A few more years older without the monkey.
The thing is, we already have the other kid, so I feel like why do we need some
And
new
even
kids?
him.
I mean, older,
but like also really unnotable, kind of annoying.
Tong.
I mean, he's cute.
No, not Tong.
Boone?
Boone, yeah. Boone. I thought compared to the con baby, I loved Boone.
He's better than the con baby. Both of the kids were useless to
Boone
me.
should be the annoying one in the group, but he's somehow not. Like, I thought it was like, okay, we're going to set up this really epic fantasy scenario, this post-apocalyptic scenario, then we're going to increasingly add kind of silly elements, especially Sisu when she first appears is like all silliness. I think Sisu gets better and less silly as the movie goes on. But that combination of early silly Sisu plus con baby, that took me out of it, I think, is my kind of main reaction.
And then also the guy from Spine, I don't remember his name.
Yeah, Tong. He's pretty silly too.
Out of the like one-off characters.
I did enjoy him.
Yeah, I think he's the best of them. Yeah, and he should be the comic relief. There shouldn't be like 3 comic reliefs. I feel like
he had the funniest jokes.
He was fine, but we don't extrapolate. I guess another thing is like, not to get too much into criticism, so I'll bring it back to positive. But just like, we present this. I think this movie's like really interesting in the presentation of the fantasy world. Some gorgeous settings. Especially the Talon, where the con baby's from. Oh my gosh, what a super gorgeous place. The like marketplace near the water, that city. I think we visit all of them. But there's not a lot substantial, I think, in each location that we visit. Other than maybe Fang at the end, get some good stuff.
And like the cultures that like go with each, not civilization, like area in Kumandra, I guess. I mean, they like have snippets. Like, it's again, like you said, it's not focused on enough to be really relevant.
Yeah, I mean, I just crave the version of this movie that's like 2 hours. That like most movies were like, it should be shorter. This is the rare movie that's like clearly this should be longer. We extrapolate more on each of the tribes, the kingdoms. You could do a series of movies. But it's
1
just
hour
like,
for each place.
It's like my frustration is we don't spend a lot of time in each place, and the time we do spend is like with silliness.
Comic relief. Yeah.
Well, and I definitely like. I'm gonna like piggyback on that. We don't spend enough time in each place, but also it's almost very undramatic as they're gathering all of the different pieces of the gem. And I mean, there's some really nice action scenes, and I'll give you that. But at the same time, like, I don't.
It seems
just
like they travel, like, when you go back and forth between Raya and Namari too. It's like, how long did it take them to get to from this place to this place? Like, what's happening? Is this scene happening at the same time as the other scene? Like, it feels like, I mean, maybe the country is just really, really small and really easy to travel around, but it felt.
But they made it.
They could have
like
had some sort of montage.
Bigger. Yeah.
Or like a mini montage for every time Raya was going to a different place. I don't know.
Yeah. I do think there's like a lot, and maybe I think this was mentioned, like a lack of tension as we're going through all the places, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the ultimate, which is, I feel like it's purposeful. We ultimately set up that like the ultimate conflict is not Talon or not Talon, Fang or any villain. It's like the concept of everyone needing to come together is what saves the day. So I think that, and you could look at that as being pretty interesting for a Disney movie. And it's like the point isn't to overcome the villain. Point has come together. That's sort of subversive, playing off of previous Disney movies. This is another Disney movie with a string without like a love interest, in quotes, for at least a male love interest for the main character. So I do think I do think Raya in a lot of ways is pretty subversive to what
I don't know why that wasn't in my hot take. The fact that she doesn't wind up with a guy, or that a guy like isn't even introduced, was beautiful.
Almost the norm at this point, I would say, for the
I loved it.
movies.
Very much Moana vibes. Like in Frozen. At least I remember the first movie, like it was all about like subverting that, but just not having it at all too is really refreshing.
Yeah. I think this is what we should probably expect as the default from these movies to come.
I hope so. I'd like them to do that with, like, if they have a Disney guy focused movie. I hope women aren't involved. Maybe he'll have a boyfriend.
Disney Prince movie, yeah.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. So we've mentioned a lot of negatives, but I think there's positives through that. I'm like praising kind of the art design of all the worlds and the fantasy concepts involved, and it's maybe like not an execution we're quite as looking for. And I do also think like a lot of what we're complaining about is like inherently this is a kids movie, this is a Disney movie, so it's going to have these sort of elements. I think it's just challenging because this movie sets up a different type of movie. You could argue.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
I would say that.
Well, definitely, because she, like, I think you said, Dylan, in the chat when we were talking about this, like, Kelly was like emphasized to use warrior instead of princess, even though she's both. So they're really trying to go for another vibe.
Yeah, I heard that when I was listening to Kellyanne, but specifically going for a warrior instead of princess now, which is really interesting. It's another subversion. I mean, we have had this subversion from Disney princess movies before, but this is a further, we not always, and this is a further.
Sorry, I think I called her Kellyanne. I was thinking of Kellyanne Conway, Kelly Marie Tran.
Oh no!
I'm so sorry.
Kelly Marie Tran, yeah. She's wonderful in terms of great aspects of the movie. I think Kelly Marie Tran is wonderful as Raya. Raya, I think it's a good character. I want to hear your takes on Raya. Is she like an all-time really good Disney princess?
Oh man,
I love that she's not like a princess in the traditional sense. Like, just for like the same reason that, like, we all loved Moana. Like, she even says, like, I'm not a princess, like I'm the daughter of the chief kind of thing. And so I like that she's not and even like Namari wasn't treated like a princess either, like she was raised to kind of be, again, we're going to use the word warrior, but like she was raised in a sort of that non-traditional royal sense, like they weren't trained. They weren't raised to like, put on pretty clothes and, find a prince or anything like that. And so I love that aspect about her, and that, I will say, like, I love that she was very trusting as a child, and even as an adult, that's something that she carried into, or carried with her. So I think that's a good thing and good characteristic to have as a character, but also being able to stand on her own 2 feet. Like, she lost her father, and she was determined to not just get him back, but to get the world back. And so I think having a good purpose says a lot as well.
Yeah. Allie, what do you think?
I mean, I love her because just the way she's characterized, I think, is great. But I also feel like we don't have enough of that characterization. I feel like what you said earlier, Dylan, like we should have had more exposition and also more of an ending. I feel like that would have made her come into her own more throughout like the middle, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
I like I think not the epilogue, the exposition in the first part of the movie was like the best part for me because it showed how like her attitude was and how she could be silly but also really serious. Also, while we're on the subject of the beginning of the movie, where's the dad's blood in his leg, Disney? What happened? We saw blood entangled. You did it.
Gotta turn him into stone. No blood.
But he got stabbed in the no, he got an arrow to the knee.
How, like, what was the deal after he was
Oh, yeah, is he healed after he gets turned back?
Yes!
After,
That
that
too.
doesn't make sense. He should have been limping around.
Stone
I
has
thought
healing
he
properties.
was at first, and I was like, oh no, he's just trying to pick something up. He shouldn't be able to bend down that far.
Do you continue to bleed out when you're turned into stone?
No.
That's
I hope
6
not.
years of bleeding.
And then when you turn
Internal
back to stone, you're already
stone
bled out.
breathing. Okay. My
Stone.
I think Raya's character is pretty singularly focused on this arc of she endures a trauma and then is grapples with her worldview on dealing with that trauma. I think that's like all of entirely what she goes through, basically. And so I think she's under characterized in this movie. It's like I really like her. Really like her voice acting, her design, how she functions in action scenes, her relationship with Sisu, relationship with Namari. But I feel like I don't get as good of a sense of who Raya is as maybe some of these other recent Disney princesses. In fact, maybe all of them, all of the recent ones. I feel like she is less well characterized.
She doesn't have an "I want" song like the rest of them do.
Yeah,
I do think songs really help with the characterization.
They do, especially
really
Disney.
do. Like,
here's something, like, one thing that bothers me about Raya, thinking a lot about the movie after, is I feel like why is Raya so trusting of Namari in the beginning? Why has this hurt her so deeply? And it makes sense to me if what we were doing with Raya was that she was like really sheltered, like a Korra, like she doesn't have friends. But I don't feel like I ever really know. I don't think I know if that's true.
Yeah.
Like the
It
thing
seemed
is,
like that's what they were going for because of how easily she trusted her. But
to me, that's my interpretation. But we don't know anyone besides her dad that she knew from when she was a kid. She just meets Damari, and those are the only two people that had significant relationships in her life prior to kind of her presence into the story. Did she have friends? Like what else was going on with her?
Immediately before that too, her dad is like, oh, the other tribes are coming to visit, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna get ready to kill them. And then immediately she changes her mind because her dad is like, no, don't do that. Like, what? Just one talk? I
loved being thrust into that in that like prologue, but I felt the constraints of how like shallow I think it ultimately was.
They really tried to rush the relationship between Raya and her father. Like it was. Yeah, rush is the best way that I can think to describe it, because first off, we don't know what happened to her mom. They never said. And I know, like, it's not necessary information, but sometimes at least in this situation, it does kind of help for us to understand what's also going on. Like, I mean, Dylan, you brought up like such a good point. Like, why was she so trusting of Namari so immediately? Like, does she have other friends? We don't know. And so that could also, pieces of information like that could help play into it. Like, and Allie was right. Like, she turns on a dime. Like, she's like, I'm going to kill all of these people. And her dad's like, we shouldn't do that. And she's like, we shouldn't do that. Like, I understand that she looks up to her father, but
especially when you're that age, you typically question your elders.
Yeah,
because you don't understand.
That's your rebellious stage, Like,
yeah. How old is she supposed to be at the start of this?
I think 12.
I interpret it as around 12, but I don't think it's clear. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I think it's 12 because I think Nambari calls it out at some point.
Okay. Maybe they do say. Yeah. My interpretation, I think it makes sense if she's super sheltered, but I would have loved for the movie to spell that out a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe one of the strongest aspects of Raya, we have to get to this, is obviously I think her relationship with Namari. So I want to hear from you guys, like, what's how much did you personally like? First, how much did you like the two of them in the movie? How much did you personally connect with them? And then, I guess also like, how do you think it was handled as a relationship / non-relationship / like romantic / non-romantic? However you interpreted it. April, you want to go first?
So I will say I thought it was like in the beginning very, very cute and adorable. And I did feel betrayed by Namari. But
I thought you meant by Disney, not
that too. Them always, but
who needs more redeeming, Namari or Disney?
Disney, obviously.
I loved how Namari looked. I saw her and I was like, I need that hair. And then I turned to everyone and I was like, I'm gonna do it. Shave my head. And they are like, okay, April. And I was like,
I'll do it with you.
Yes. So, but I think it also would have been nice to have gotten a little bit more about Namari, especially because she is such a main character. Like, we barely got background information on Raya. I feel like we got even less about Namari. And so at times it was a little hard to sympathize with her because really the only thing we get to see of her is her betraying Raya in the beginning. And then I guess that's the basis of their relationship, is that betrayal. So it was, but I mean, don't get me wrong. I very much wanted them to be together the entire movie. I was like, we can maybe work through some of these things in therapy. So
yeah, we hope so.
Them or us real people who wanted them to happen?
Both.
Therapy for everyone, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Allie, what about you? Your reaction to Raya and Namari?
Well, so as y'all know, when we were talking in the Discord, I was like half joking saying they're gonna kiss when we saw the trailer, just because you could tell about like the homoeroticism just in the trailers. And then when it actually came out, I was like, okay, I see vibes. I like, to April's point before, and like to what we've been talking about through this whole podcast, like I feel like if they at least included, like when the tribes came to visit, if they made it like a montage that they were all together for like the span of maybe a week or like 5 days hanging out, then I feel like, I don't know, the betrayal might have felt a little different. It just felt so fast and not justified, because like it was explained that like every other tribe was like, they had a grudge against Hart for
plot, yeah.
Right. And they had a grudge against Hart for like having the dragon soul, and like they were always like after them. So in that sense, it didn't really feel unnatural that the betrayal happened so soon. But I don't know, like they started out seemingly best friends, and we don't even know how long they were hanging out. It could have been for 5 minutes. It could have been for like the whole day. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still love her, and like I did obviously got vibes from both of them, not just from like Kelly Marie Tran saying I interpreted vibes that way as the actress, but also like, okay, your frenemy has one earring on her left ear, plus an undercut, plus those guns when she gets older, like vibes to the max. So I felt betrayed by Namari, but also more betrayed by Disney, even though we expected it. That being said, I do like, also to Kelly Marie Tran's point, like if you saw that like, you know, subtext and you related to it, then that's good enough. Like for personally, I don't think it's like good representation, but like, yeah, I don't know, it vibes.
Yeah, vibes,
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the thing too, like trust is a vibe. Gay feelings are a vibe. Is she, you know, trustable?
Ooh, wow. What if trust was a code word? Yeah. Okay.
What?
It's gonna be the new thing, I'm telling you.
Okay, it's interesting. I have a reading on a whole thing coming up on the subtext, but I didn't think about.
Oh yeah, we have to talk about the language subtext.
Yeah, let me talk.
too.
Yeah, but for so I really like Raya and Namari. I think it's clearly one of the strongest like dynamics in the movie.
Their banter also is great, and their fights are great.
Yeah,
I love them in the beginning. I did think it was a little bit like my reaction seeing them right in the beginning. It was like, do 12-year-olds really talk this way? But
No.
I think it was
not after first. Well, I don't know. That's not entirely true. Because like when you're young, you bond over what you're nerding out about, and they were like, "Oh, dragon! Oh my god,
I like
nerd!"
that idea. Yeah. I really love that scene, and I feel like I've seen some criticism of how Namari's handled the movie. I feel like she's present the whole movie. I think she's great scenes throughout the whole movie. And any scene she's in is pretty standout. I think my reaction in terms of like them as a couple was, at first I was like, okay, Clearly we're all gonna like ship it, but the movie wasn't really going for this. They don't like get together at the end, anything like that. So that was kind of my first reaction, was like, okay, it wasn't ultimately romantic. But in revisiting it, I think that there is a pretty substantial queer reading of this movie. I mean, obviously, in reading, but let's break this down a little bit. Okay, let me go through this. So
first of all, the designs.
yes, everything we've talked about, but I want to focus on the term Depla, which is used throughout this. So we have Binturi, which is not a real word, but and Depla is not either, but has more of a closer interpretation. But I'll get to that in a second. So first, in terms of names for each other, when they're younger, Raya says, hey, come with me, Depla, I want to show you something, and that transitions to them going to the dragon lair, and then when Namaari betrays her, she's like, thank you, Depla, you've been very helpful. Very evil, sinister line. So Raya gives her this like pet name kind of, and then she repeats it in betraying her, which is like part of the hurt, I think.
It's the Heodora.
Yeah, this is their Heodora, basically. Yeah. So then in Tail, when Namaari sees Raya again, she says, "What's drippin', Depla?" Kind of like, and it's just really hurtful as she's taunting like this betrayal of this like kind of pet name she gave her right back at her. Also, they do explain Binturi's in the scene. I think it's kind of bold that they just throw in language that they don't explain, but they at least have context. Raya says the rest of them are being held by a bunch of no good Binturis. And Namaari says Binturis, that's not a very nice way to describe an old friend. So they establish it's not a nice thing. And then in Spine, they have a fight there, which I think is one of the great scenes of the movie.
Hot.
So first of all, Raya says, hey there, Princess Undercut, kind of teasing her. And then she like takes her weapon away. She says, did you need that, Depla? So again, like teasing her based on their shared like tension and their dynamic. So this kind of like permeates throughout the movie, and if you look, I've seen a lot of people relate this to like a real term in Vietnamese, Dep Qua, which apparently means so beautiful. So and one of the writers of this movie is Vietnamese, and like this is like such a similar term, Dep La, Dep Qua.
But also apparently Kelly suggested this to say like that they see like beauty in each other as people and not just physically.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, that sounds romantic to me. But the
sounds vibey.
Apparently in the novelization, that means best friend in Kumandran. But just the similarity to like beautiful is if they're calling each other some term related to beautiful, and it's like seen as like a pet name between them, and like establishing of their dynamic. And then you add in there's Kelly Mitran quoted in a Vanity Fair article basically saying that like she was interpreting the story as romantic while recording it.
Mm-hmm.
I think like there's just such a through line from writing to clearly the like storyboarding and art design on some of these scenes to the voice acting of a queer interpretation that permeates the creation of this movie, even if it doesn't end romantically explicitly. And I don't think there's like a version of this movie. My guess with a kiss at the end that was cut. That's my guess, is there's not like a cut kiss or anything.
Imagine?
Oh my gosh.
Like I don't think that's the situation.
No way, but can you imagine?
I know, but like, so ultimately, it's like this is just it's such a weird thing where no one ever thought that they would get this movie made with an explicitly romantic story, and that's never what they're trying for. And yet it permeates all aspects of this dynamic in the movie, this like potential romantic interpretation. I was really struck by this. Like, I think we've seen a lot of various forms of censorship throughout, but it feels very, I guess, Disney to like no one ever thinks this is like something that they could even do in the movie, so it just kind of like is there throughout the entire thing. And so ultimately you end up with like, I feel like the ultimate like subtext movie, like the ultimate subtext relationship with Raya and Namaari, I guess is my ultimate interpretation. Like
yeah.
Like it doesn't make it into the explicit text, but like other than that, I feel like everything's basically there in what they're doing. And then there's
it's so close.
It's very close. Like it's almost explicit, but it's not. And I don't mean it like explicit in a bad way, but
yeah, but the
like,
language makes it very close.
Well, I was gonna say it's the language and a lot of, I mean, just the way that their relationship is written out and how each voice actress interpreted it and then
Right?
brought that to life.
I
Like,
know. That's always the best.
like you can't like sit there, like if that's how, like, because what you said, it was Kelly Marie Tran who, you know, that's
Mhm.
how she took it as, and that's how she read her lines, and it's like, if that's how she read it from just reading it off a piece of paper,
Right? She was like, this
essentially-
isn't how friends talk.
yeah, and she's I mean, okay, like in scripts, like they will give some kind of like clue as to how you're supposed to deliver a line, but it's never like a really good clue. It's like angry or something like that. And so like,
Yeah, I mean,
so-
for all we know, they might have been like kind of like say this flirty, but like
Yeah.
not really, but like maybe.
but they could have
like
not even said that, and then that's just how it came out. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, and
Yeah.
so I think that is kind of, I don't know. I forgot the point I
vibes
was
all
trying to
around.
make with it, but
Yeah. Allie, do you think this movie would have been better if it was more overtly romantic, this relationship throughout the entire thing?
Girl, you know, yes. I mean, I don't know necessarily
Because like
better,
you could argue
honestly.
that they're like, right, like you could argue that it's like one of those things where it's like this movie's not about the romance, it's about this
Right,
theme
exactly.
of trust
Yeah,
and
I mean,
about the plot.
I
And yeah.
really appreciate subtext when it's just subtext, but when it's queer subtext, I would like it if they, you know, like, I mean, they totally didn't need to kiss, but I feel like at least in the end, they should have had more of a reaction, or not a reaction, interaction with each other than just turning to stone and being like, we'll leave it up to the universe or whatever. And then they just went to heart in the end and they didn't interact after that. I feel like if they had more, I guess, for lack of a better term, closure with each other, it would have been better, but it didn't necessarily need to manifest in a kiss, just like a conversation or like
I was
even a
gonna-
hug. Like the hug
Yeah.
with Sisu and the whole group was cute, but if they got like their own moment,
Or
it didn't
even
have to be a
just, like,
kiss.
a touch on the arm, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
or like a handshake
any
or
acknowledgement of each
Yeah.
other.
even
and-
like the returning of the necklace that
Oh,
like when it
yeah.
first happened. I was like, okay, that's like some sort of closure, and then obviously everything got worse. So I feel like even that in the end, if like someone found it, if either one of them found it and returned it to the other, I thought that would have been cute, good closure.
Yeah, I think the point of like there's a way to make it overtly romantic without that being the focus of the movie or them dating or anything, like, and I think the movie would probably be improved from that, just it being a little more clear, it'd be more powerful bonds. It'd
Yeah.
maybe make more sense
Yeah.
what was going on. Like I kind of interpret it as like Raya like falls for Namari in the beginning, and Namari's like kind of like trying to play that up in Raya like I'm gonna be a cute girl to try to get her to trust
Those
me.
were
and
the
stuff.
vibes I was getting, like when she tucks her hair behind her ear.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like,
That moment
"Mhm."
specifically. Yeah, I think that's what
Hello?
it's. So, like, if all of that is more overt, I feel like it only benefits what's going on.
Absolutely.
I feel like this is like such a weird situation where this is like the ultimate queer subtext movie in a time when queer rep is happening more and more explicitly, and even in Disney's television channel with the Owl House, it's happening like on
Yes.
screen now. It's like just
Yeah.
hasn't permeated to their Disney features. I think this movie's going to look not like so. The effort that went into this is incredible. I think artists put their heart into it. I think it's wonderful for what it is. But in terms of like this not being explicit when it clearly could have been, I think this movie's going to look so silly in like 5 years. Like
Exactly,
only 5
yeah.
years. Like
Especially when
we're
the
just
Owl
going to
House is
have
airing at the same time.
it's
I'm glad you brought
Alice
that
is airing
up.
at the same time, and
Well,
other.
and you can't even really use like the whole like, oh well, this movie was probably, the script was probably written like 5 years ago. Like I don't know, it wasn't like.
Yeah, it's complicated, but yeah,
Joke's
they were
on
definitely
you. It
like
was gay all along.
they're definitely making large parts of this during the past year, and should be noted, they made a majority of this movie during quarantine, working from home. It's incredibly
Yeah.
impressive that they had one
Yeah,
of this
wow.
incredibly visual
Props
movie.
to everybody. That is
Um,
insane.
Please
Yeah, I mean,
buy yourself a cookie.
a cookie.
Or 2 or 10.
Yeah.
Probably the like concepts for this movie are like 5 years old, but you know the actual plot gets rewritten like much more recently
Yeah, and like
than that.
production too. Like
I was
These-
gonna say
these-
it
these-
gets rewritten all the time, all the way
Mhm.
out.
Yeah,
like,
if you watch the Frozen 2 documentary, they rewrite it like the same year it's being released. Like they're rewriting scenes in it. It's
Yeah.
like pretty how Disney does this. It's really
I'm excited to
interesting.
see if they ever put out a documentary for this. Like if they show the people behind the movie going to Southeast Asia and like learning about the cultures.
yeah.
That'd be
Mhm.
cool.
They probably can't document it in the same way if working from home, but it'd be interesting at least at
Yeah,
the beginning.
but if they
Yeah.
went like 5 years ago before the pandemic hit, hopefully they've documented some of it.
to find inspiration, just seeing like what their their vision. I say vision board, but I don't mean it like that. Like,
Vision board. That'd be good. But yeah, I think Kelly McTran in that article said like she's hopes that Disney will have a more clearly queer princess in soon, and I think it'll happen in the next.
It has to, because
Disney features are probably the last one that's going to get this, but I feel like it's going to be interesting looking back on Raya in short amount of time, because I think what are we going to think? I mean, maybe this is like the ultimate fanfic movie, and we're just going to get the best fan content and stuff from this. But,
I mean, but maybe in like, I don't know, when was the last time? How long ago did Moana come out before this? Because like maybe the next movie they'll
Moana
be like,
was like
more explicit.
Moana was like
4 or something years ago.
It was.
Yeah,
more
I mean,
than
Frozen
that.
2 is the previous Disney princess, but yeah, I don't know what the next one is, but yeah, I think we're hoping for Disney doing that.
I mean, I'm hoping for a Disney prince. Like you brought it up as a kind of joke before, but like even if he's not gay, let's have a Disney prince.
I'd love that. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. So how about yeah, I mean, is there like, I think it'd be interesting to envision the more overtly romantic version of the movie. Like I think probably it's not like a huge central romance, because I do think they're going for not quite that. But yeah, maybe it's like there's like a kiss on the cheek when they're younger. There's like a more
Or
of a clearly
tucking of the hair behind the ear.
And that's like when they meet, they hold hands that one time, and that's the only time.
Mm-hmm.
Do it more.
Yeah, maybe the the flirting doesn't have to be in like a made up word that they're saying as best friends, but really means something else. Maybe it's like more clearly romantic. Maybe when they face off in the middle of the movie, there's some sort of big tension,
But it was
touching
so
moment.
there. That was part of why I love the fight scenes. I mean, just also the choreography was great. I'm assuming it was very realistic, depending on the martial art they got.
That scene was really good, and then at the end they fight right before the ending with when they're like under the sea.
Oh yeah.
Mari flex her muscles. It's like
Ooh.
the animators.
I think that
doing.
fight scene at the end is really good. I think that's
The music
the best
too
one.
during that fight was great.
Mhm.
I just love all
Good
the
music.
fights; they're so good. But you have a point.
And then in the end, we see them in the credits. They're at there's like a dinner that they're doing, kind of like a post scene, and then the Raya and Amari are talking over dinner. So maybe you have some sort of epilogue, romantic culmination too, just right at the end, whether it's like in the credits or like at the end of the movie. Yeah, Allie, what do you think of that? As just like a slightly more romantically charged version of the movie?
I think it would have been great. I feel like, again, if they had more like sort of montage-ish scenes, or even if it was longer, they could have made that work too, and having it be explicit but not like shoving in your face explicit, because like, it's just people interacting. Like people flirt with each other nonchalantly all the time, even if you're young or however old you are. I don't know, I do really like the nicknames and the different made-up language. I thought it was really cute, and I had no idea what they were saying until after I watched it, so now I need to watch it again with that subtext. I was like, I mean, I knew it was a nickname, but I wasn't really sure what it actually meant until after I looked it up. But I don't know. I mean, I don't. This is the thing. I feel like I don't know if that would have made it objectively a better movie, but I would have enjoyed it more personally.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But if it were longer, I think it would have been objectively more better.
Yeah, maybe other criticisms we'd said are more directly tied to what we'd like from the meat of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, April, what about you? What any sort of revisions you envision?
No Mafia Baby. What was not Mafia?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah. I was talking about Raya and Amari.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're talking about queer stuff.
Yeah. I mean, me being me, I would have liked if this was a grand romance movie, and this was they.
Yeah, listen, if it was a queer romance movie, it would have been fantastic. We don't need another romance hetero movie.
I will say it's been a while from Disney's really been going against it recently, but
like now is the time, since you're doing all the gay subtext. If you made a gay romance movie, everyone would love it.
Go back to the romance, but in not a traditional way. Yeah.
In gay form.
I'm sorry, April. Go tell us.
No, you're fine.
No, I want to know what you would change, if anything.
I think I would just, I would give Raya and Namari more of a relationship. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be, like romantic in any way. Just anything more, because they do have really great chemistry. And so and I think their sort of like banter and their back and forth is really something that I enjoyed throughout the entire movie, and made it really, very enjoyable for me. And so that was definitely something that I would have liked to see more fleshed out.
Yeah,
but, we would have needed more time, and that was not something Disney wanted to give us.
Why not, man? We paid $30.
Right? You could have made this 90 minutes or longer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel like it plays into our wanting just a more adult movie, like more adult fleshed out romance as a component of that.
It's very odd coming off of Soul.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, because Soul is much more of a
comedy.
Mature. Yeah, it's like a comedy, but it also is.
It's about adults. It's about mature subjects. Yeah, I think Soul. You could argue Soul is a similar problem with silliness in the middle, but
I'm gonna point that out.
I think it's just a formulaic type thing that applies to all these movies. But I mean, for me at least, Soul succeeds much more in spite of that. I think due to it going more adult in the at times when it's not being silly.
Yeah. Agree.
But the whole middle is just so goofy. And
I kind of wanted to see more of Namari's mom, because she was like the most sinister person, even if Namari was supposed to be like, you saw like in the other tribes or whatever, most people would have like a place where they kept the shard of the dragon soul. She had it on a staff on her person all the time. I was like, that is sus as heck. Like,
also you are smart. Like,
yeah.
With Verana, there's really interesting things with Verana, I think, at the end with her deciding to not encouraging Namari to not trust what Raya says, not go along with them. And yeah, I think that's some really interesting stuff, but she's not much of a presence in the movie. So
yeah. Well, and I think the only reason why we believe she's such a suspicious character is because that is literally all that we're told about her at the beginning of the movie. And then we watch her daughter, betray everybody essentially, and then like, how do you not think that she's like,
I don't like that the kids were like blind to their parents not demands, like teachings, I guess, for lack of a better term. I don't know.
Yeah, their philosophies.
Yeah. Doesn't seem natural, but they were in a time of weird times.
I guess like it's like, I guess kind of positive when you compare like Raya and her father versus like Namari and her dad or her mom. You know what I mean? Like, they very much presented a like light versus evil kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at the remaining topics. I think we kind of did though. What songs would we put into Raya? I think the
Trust song for sure.
Trust song. Does also, Raya need a want song, or does Namari need a want song?
Namari. They need a collaborative.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Duet.
Song. And then Sisu needs an introduction song for sure.
I figured the trust song would go to her since she's the one shoving it in your face the whole movie.
No, I feel like there would come like a.
That could be the dad song.
Oh, the dad song.
Does Namari have a big epic villain song? Does she not get that because she's not really the villain?
I thought the mom would have a villain song.
That would be good. That would be a good way to make the mom a bigger character.
Yeah, if the mom was the true evil villain. Okay, so because of that, now the Drew need a villain song. Yeah,
like a Be Prepared song.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I like the Drew getting a song.
Would it be like just noises, or would it be English?
Would we really like Raya better if the Drew were singing?
It depends on what language they sing in.
I guess like in Frozen, the trolls have a song. I guess that's the equivalent.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I was gonna say, does Tuk Tuk get a song?
Absolutely. 100%.
Not a lot of Tuk Tuk in this movie.
The only person who doesn't get a song are the Mafia Baby and the Monkeys.
Because
Boone also doesn't get a song.
I don't think they can sing. I think that's, I guess if the Drew can sing, they can sing.
Boone would have an interesting song.
Yeah, Boone, yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Could have like a seafaring song.
Ooh,
and
then sea shanty. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sea shanty. Oh, yeah. That would have been great with the times.
And it would have been a duet between Boone and Sisu, because.
Oh, I like that one.
Put that on TikTok. We loved it.
Oh my God! Yeah, wait, Raya musical on TikTok. Creators, if you're listening to this, make it happen.
Yes.
It will happen. Like,
I mean,
they made a Ratatouille musical and got actual Broadway
that's the
actors.
news today. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Ratatouille. So are we joking about this, or would we genuinely
No.
have preferred if there were songs in this movie?
I mean, I don't know. It's a good question. I feel like, again, I don't know if it would have made the movie objectively better, but it would have made my enjoyment higher.
Yeah, I think I'm biased. I generally like musicals. So
I'm a
I
musical
think,
person.
Yeah. But I think it's what I said in the beginning. I would have preferred if it went harder away from the musical, or if it embraced it.
Agree.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think it would have to be like fully committed or not at all, and then it would have been an objectively better movie.
Yeah. Less silliness would have made it objectively better.
Yeah.
Last question: do we want Raya 2? I think there's so much
No.
potential with everything that was set up that we've talked about.
I would want that, but no.
Do we want to see the Raya and Namari actually be romantic together?
Yes,
in the sequel?
This is the
they're
question.
gonna butcher it.
And the other question is, do we want, like, I couldn't call it a prequel because it wouldn't be, but would we want like a story that would focus on Raya and Namari back and forth between those 6 years after everything went down?
I was going to say earlier, that's a good point. I was going to say, like, I would have loved to have seen a little montage of those 6 years. I really don't understand what she was up to. At some point she says, "Oh, a few months ago you stole the thing from Fang." So what would she have to before that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
would have helped
planning
her
for
characterization.
Lots of questions.
Yeah.
up in
But
the air.
also, I mean, gay movie? Yeah, why not? I don't know if they'd butcher it. We have to really see how the Owl House plays things out. I'm like
That's
waiting.
true.
I mean, it seems like we're on different timelines with Alice right now.
Yeah.
Considering what we got from this movie.
I feel like the other like idea would be, if we got a second movie, is it would be focused solely on the dragons, like Sisu and the dragons, and then that would be it. And then maybe like we'd get to see Raya and Namari.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about the dragons. There's some dragon scenes here.
Yeah, I was annoyed. Not really like annoyed, but like another complaint is that I wanted the other dragons to talk, at least not in the flashback,
I
but
wanted
like when
them
they
to
all
have
come back to life.
personalities.
Right? And like, I mean, their personality was their magic, and like I thought before they came back to life, I was like, okay, that's fine, that's justifiable. And then they came back to bring, first of all the dragons came back to life to bring Sisu back to life, and I was like, okay, are any of them gonna do anything?
Nope.
It just felt so rushed.
The whole kind of dragon aspect of it seemed very, I don't know, you probably could have like taken it out and did something else at this almost like
I don't know, I felt it needed more. Like I liked the way that like they went through Sisu's siblings and were like, oh, this was my brother's or sister's magic, but like you could have, I don't know, it probably wouldn't have worked well, but you could have been like, give a little flashback of each sibling interacting with her in the past.
Like building those relationships, because she would just be like, oh, this is my brother's magic, and then that would be it. That's all you would hear about it.
Like you could have her just talking over like a 5-second montage of him doing magic and her being like, oh my god, it's magic.
Or because the other thing, because especially what it was, her brother was the one who would have the water droplets in the air, and then that's how she would sort of like move around in the sky. Because I was like, oh, I bet she can't fly, and that's how her like family.
Yeah, I think it's cool when that comes together.
Yeah. Because I had that moment, I was just like, this is how she gets to quote unquote fly, because otherwise she probably couldn't, because you don't see her fly up until that point. So, and I stood up and I was like, you guys, I figured it out. And everyone in the room's like, okay, crazy lady, like sit back down and eat your popcorn. And I was like, okay. I did not go see this in a theater, by the way. Let me clarify that.
You can have popcorn at home.
Yeah, I had popcorn at home.
But also, what about the other dragons that weren't part of her family? Like, I want to know about them all.
They showed the main dragon, but there were other dragons too. Yeah,
and
like all up in the background.
At one point, Namari went through a field of the dragons, but it wasn't the same one that Raya went through later. You just have to piece together all this stuff. Like, you really don't get into anything.
I really like that scene though, the animation and
it looks really good. Yeah,
music.
Yeah.
More dragons.
Allie, what are your final thoughts? Is it more dragons?
More dragons, more queer, less subtext. I don't know. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie in spite of its issues. I really always do enjoy Disney movies. most of the time. I don't know, not always, but it was great. I don't know if I want a second one, but I feel like we're probably gonna get one because it's typically what happens when you don't want a sequel. So we'll see.
When you don't want a sequel, I'd be surprised. We haven't seen a lot of sequels. I mean, Frozen was just so incredibly popular, so that gets a sequel.
But that was
I don't think
a music factor, I think, played a part in that. So
the music was incredibly popular. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, and Raya's not going to end up being in the theater revenue. We're not really going to ultimately know probably how successful it is.
It could get. I'm like dreading putting this out in the open, but maybe like a series, mini-series.
Yeah. Everything gets a Disney Plus series now.
Yeah, but how will it be? Will it be animated? Will it be live action? I'm afraid to find out.
Dragon prequel.
It'll be animated. It'll be the dragons. It'll be
connected
we're not
to
gonna get
American dragon somehow. Hopefully not.
Not going to get the Raya and Amari dating series post movie.
They would never. They would never treat us so kindly, Dylan.
Raya and Amari dating simulator game.
Simulator game. Series.
Game creators.
Well, like we said, Disney can do it on TV. They can have gay people, but so like maybe we can do it on Disney Plus.
Waters. They're like, we'll use TV as our playground, like our sandbox, and then
I think it's probably not that calculated, but yeah, it's if anything,
it feels that way because they're probably like, at least with the TV, you can turn it off or change a channel.
I think we assign a lot of intelligence and motive to these higher workings, these companies. Sometimes not.
Dylan, I think they're both at the same time.
We could be giving them too much credit. I don't know.
In some ways, yeah. Okay, April. Final thoughts on Raya.
Yeah, as I said before, I definitely think everyone should check it out. If not, to just marvel at how beautiful it is. And enjoy all of the subtext and feel ways about it. And want more. But yeah, I think.
Also, Disney Plus should make this accessible to people in Southeast Asia. That's my final thought.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the number one complaint, but that's also not a movie complaint. That's a company complaint.
If you find Tuk Tuk plushie, please let us know.
Oh my god,
I want one. Also,
do you want a big one or a small one?
I personally want a big one.
Life size Tuk Tuk.
Yeah, I personally want a big one, but I also want a small one because my one friend, he loved little baby Tuk Tuk, and I was like, I'm going to find a little baby Tuk Tuk plush and buy it for you. In my head, I'm thinking it. And I was like, and I'm going to give it to you and you're going to love it. So accept this fate. But I want a very large one.
I think Disney will grant this wish, the merchandising wish, and not the gay wish, but they will give us the plushes.
Anything that makes
I think they'll do that.
Gays can make money. Disney.
Once they figure that out, they'll be on board. They figure out that there's
telling you after the Lumity kiss. It's gonna happen.
Once they see us successful, hopefully. Yeah, I know we had a lot of criticisms of this movie, and I think we talked a lot about what we might have liked better, but I do think it was really good and visually stands out, really interesting. So I appreciate that we're going kind of for this epic fantasy. I'd love to see kind of more similar attempts from Disney. I mean, I'd love to see more going further into it, but just movies like Raya, I think would be wonderful. So I did really like Raya, despite criticisms.
Yeah. More movies about other cultures that aren't white American cultures.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Yeah.
I think they've been doing that, at least attempting it.
I think we can't speak to that, but I hope they've done a good job.
Yeah, I mean, basically all non-American movies recently, right? Like even Frozen is like
that's true, yeah.
Norway and stuff, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's, I think, going to do it for our Raya discussion. Let us know what you thought. Ryan Amari, leave a comment anywhere you're listening on YouTube, on overlyanimated.com, on our Discord. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube as we're having YouTube content, as I mentioned at the top, at youtube.com/overlyanimated. Consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our Patreon podcast, Bob. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, Ryan, Steve Beatrice, Human Michael, Needle, and Phoenician. Speaking of Owl House, as of now, our next podcast will be on Owl House on Gita.
So jarring.
Look, more Disney content coming your way. We're all craving it.
You know what you want.
Yeah.
We're overly animated and you're watching Disney Channel.
Oh, yeah. That's
Ugh.
basically. Yeah. So there you go. Thank you. And I think that's going to do it. Thank you for listening, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.